What's the best AliExpress watch brands? That really depends on your budget, but if we're talking the best all-around value, Addiesdive is tough to beat. Today we're checking out two of their watches that have totally different styles and functionality, while carrying that signature Addiesdive quality and charm that makes them special. For what you pay, the quality is really amazing. Most of their watches are under $100 while still being packed with all the specs you'd want. Good lume, solid construction, and reliable movements. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of San Martin and own many other watches. When it comes to finishing and overall build quality, they're easily one of the best on AliExpress. But you're looking at $250 to $300 for most of their models, so they are in a totally different ballpark. Watchdives is another fan favorite, myself included, and they're always dropping super cool watches that hit hard, but their prices are usually over $100. If you're aiming for that ultra affordable sweet spot of around $50, Addiesdive is the best. First up is the AD2099, a really cool vintage-inspired pilot watch that's one of their new releases this year. What's really cool is this model comes in two dial colors, black and blue, as well as the option with or without the logo. I definitely like the cursive Addiesdive text, but thought it would be fun to go with the sterile option without. For some reason, without the logo, the watch works really well with that military vintage vibe that this watch is all about. I love the shade of blue and how it has a matte finish. It blends perfectly with the white and faux patina. Such a cool design that I wouldn't necessarily say is overly original, but a design that many watch brands use, so I wouldn't say it's an homage either. Although this watch is quite minimalist and simple, it's all about the little details that make it special and stand out. The white railroad track around the outside perimeter adds a cool detail that helps with legibility, and the crisp white hour markers continues that same theme. I'll be honest, I'm not always into faux patina. I think it can be a bit hit or miss. If it's done the right way, it looks awesome, but oftentimes it can look a little cheesy or just trying too hard to look vintage. The application here is subtle and just the right amount to add to that old school charm. And then that subdial adds another cool detail and functionality with a 24-hour counter. What's really cool is the lume. There's both C3 and BGW9, so it creates a two-tone effect with both green and blue lume. A fun, interesting detail that can be seen on the hands and hour markers. As you can see, the seconds hand has a bit of that sweeping motion like an automatic, but it's powered by quartz, specifically the Seiko Mecha Quartz VH60. Timekeeping will be spot on, and you don't have to worry about the seconds hand not lining up with each hour marker since it's sweeping by. As far as the protection, this watch offers plenty. There's 100 meters of water resistance, a screw-down crown, and a K1 mineral crystal. Yes, sapphire is more scratch resistant, though more expensive, but clarity is much higher on a K1, and the scratch resistance is pretty solid. Seiko uses their own version of a K1 mineral crystal, a hard Lex, and it gets the job done. Another big difference between the two is a mineral gives off a lot more warmth, so it's a good choice for a watch with a lot of that vintage style. The rest of the details are really impressive, especially considering this is a $50 watch. The case is solid 316L stainless steel, the industry standard, and it's finished quite nicely. Brushed on top, polished on the sides. It's a great case that follows the traditional oyster style and really great dimensions. 36 mil in diameter, only 12 in thickness, and 46 in total length, lug to lug. Yeah, a smaller watch, but even on my 7-inch wrist, I think it looks really fantastic. It's classy, wears super comfortably, and for this style of watch, it makes sense to be in this size. And the steel bracelet, it's far better than any Seiko that costs 5 times as much, so that's a win in itself. The links follow the same layout as the case with brushed details on top and polishing on the sides, so it maintains a nice seamless design. The clasp's fully milled, uses a push-button closure, and has 5 micro adjustment holes to help get that perfect fit. After the discount, the price is around $55, a really great value for a watch with this level of finishing and details. It definitely doesn't look like a watch that costs less than $100. Next up is the AD2095, a chronograph that's packed with a lot of vintage charm and tons of functionality. This watch comes in 3 colors, so you have options depending on your taste. There's a blue and also a beige dial that's definitely a bit more vibrant and looks awesome. Each color gives the watch a lot of personality and looks more unique. Then there's a black reverse panda dial with white contrasting that's a bit more versatile and probably the safer color option. It won't stand out as much as the other 2 options, so it will go a little more under the radar. All of them are great choices, so it comes down to what you're into. I really like how much old school vintage charm it has, and it definitely looks like a watch from the past, but with that modern build quality. From top to bottom, there's a lot of nice features, though it's the dial that I think is the big star. The attention to detail is impressive, especially at this price point. The black dial isn't fully matte or completely glossy. It's the perfect balance between the two, so it has a nice eye-catching, pleasant appearance while not coming off as too flat or overly flashy. What's really cool are the two sub-dials because they have two different finishes. The outer portion has kind of a matte finish while the center is more of a sunburst effect. They are really easy to read and have nice separation from the rest of the dial. The two-tone effect really draws the eye in a subtle way, adding just the right amount of that extra style to help elevate the look. Another detail that I really appreciate is the date window, not just because it's placed at the 6 o'clock, not as common as it being seen on the 3, but nice detail that I think adds to symmetry, and also it has a framing, a nice detail that could kind of make or break a dial. It's a small but premium attention to detail that takes a watch to the next level. I also like the minimalist text that includes the cursive Addiesdive logo and just the water resistance rating, which is 100 meters. Plenty for swimming and daily use. Then there's the polished applied hour markers and the white chapter ring running the outside perimeter of the dial. It all flows together perfectly. It's a cohesive design that looks awesome, and legibility is as good as it gets, which is largely because of the crystal, the K1 mineral glass, with the curved dome, adding cool visuals and a ton of that vintage appeal. The next big feature of this watch is, of course, the case, but it's not your average layout. The first noticeable detail are those lugs. They have such a cool and unique design where they curve downward a lot and have a really interesting shape. It fuels that old school vintage look, and because of how they are angled downward, it wraps around the wrist really nicely, so it wears super comfortably. This is a chronograph, so they do naturally wear a little bit larger. The case measures 38 mm in diameter, 12.8 in thickness, and 46 from lug to lug, total length. I think it's a great size for a chronograph, offers great wrist presence without looking too large and sit heavy. The finishing is done really well, a common theme with Addiesdive watches. There's polishing on the top of the case with contrasting brushing on the sides. I really like the pump style chronograph pushers and the coin edge style crown. It all adds a nice touch to the overall design and makes it easy to use. As far as the movement, the watch is powered by one of my favorites, a Seiko Mecha Quartz, specifically the VK64. I've found this caliber to be super accurate and durable. After the discount, the price comes to pretty much the same, around $55, which is another really crazy value-packed watch, especially with this style, these details, and just the overall quality. It comes equipped on a well-made two-tone nylon NATO strap that definitely looks great on this watch, and it looks great on a variety of other straps as well, so mix it up. Anyone who's tried Addiesdive, I'm sure, can confirm that they are just really value-packed, impressively well-made watches, especially at their price points. And if you've never tried them, you definitely should. They have a ton of different watches, different styles, colors, sizes, functionality, so there should be something for everyone. Definitely let me know what you think of these two watches we looked at today. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.